All right, and if you have questions along the way and you want to throw them in the chat, I'll try to monitor that as well. I'm gonna share my screen with you. This is the basic Flipgrid presentation. So I will show you I'll show you some of the projects I've created and how it works, and then I'll walk you through as well, like how to create it. They have changed a few things, so if you've used it last year or tried it last year, it is a little different. All right, so let me see here. I'm going to present my screen. So let me actually do this. I'm going to okay. All right. So what Flipgrid is it's really a collaborative video platform. So unlike a Screencastify where students record the video and then it's just flat, like you watch it and that's it, this allows other people to respond back to that video. So if you go to flipgrid.com, I know in the beginning this was one of the apps that was shown. If you already created your account, you would just go to educator login. If you haven't, you would go to educator sign up and then follow the prompts. I believe it does ask you for your age just to make sure that you're an educator and not a student. So I know last year that was a question of whether that was a legitimate question, and it is one of the prompts that they ask you. So there's two pieces to Flipgrid that can be really confusing. Topics are the assignment that you create that your students will respond to either a video that you've created or that they will create a video and someone else will respond to. And then groups are your classes. So you could have 3 sections of something. You have one topic that you assign to the different groups. And that's new. So if you did use this last year, that is something that's a little bit different and can be confusing. You don't need to keep recreating the topic. If you have multiple sections, it will create a unique code for each one of your sections, but you just have to create the topic first. So in Flipgrid, what you would do is to create an assignment, what they call is you would add a topic. And I will just show you here, I created one that was a book talk. And I'll walk you through how I did that as well, but I just want to show you what it looks like. You have the ability to type in your directions. You can attach documents. You can attach a rubric. You can include a GIF. They have a whole library, or you could include a video of yourself explaining the directions or giving an example. So there's lots of different media that you can use. And then you would have responses. So I created a response today of a book talk. I have the directions here, and then I'm not going to play the whole thing. So that's the video that I created. So if I were a student, I posted my video, and then below it, I added a comment as another student. So anytime someone has a response, anyone who responds to it, their responses go below. So they stay together. And so you always know who's responding to who. The way to set this up, I'm going to go back to the beginning, is to add a topic. So you can also, I should say, search topics. They have a lot of pre-recorded lessons that you can modify. So if I wanted to do like library orientation, I could search that up and see what comes up, and I can modify it. You can make your discussion topic public or private so that other people who have Flipgrid accounts can also utilize that if they wanted to. But to create a topic, you just add a topic. And here's where you're going to set it up so that your students can access it. So I'm going to just do book talk 2. You add your directions here. All right. You set the recording time. So you can go up to 10 minutes, or you could go as little as 1 minute. Topic moderation. This means that you will view, if it's toggled on, you will view all of the videos before anyone can see them. So if you want to make sure that what's being posted is appropriate, you would toggle this on, and only after you view the video would it actually appear in Flipgrid for other students to view. So that's a good one if you are uncertain if your students will not be appropriate. Just checking to see if there's any questions. All right. The media, here's where in that previous example, I had the GIF of Belle in the library. Here's where you could record your own video. If you wanted to verbalize the instructions or give an example, you can upload a video. So if you have something saved elsewhere and you want to use that, like you could have them watch a video explaining a concept and then they have to respond to that in the Flipgrid. You could do a link to a YouTube video, an image, a GIF. This is one where they have all of the ones you can search and add. So you can just put a term in and then include whichever one you want. All right. I just want to make sure I see a question. Sorry. You can, so do videos automatically go live to all students after you preview them, or can you keep them private? I'm 99% sure that you can keep them private, but I will double check on that because they have made some changes. And what it is you would freeze them so that they can't reply back to any other students. So there's the ability to freeze it. Here's the important piece. Do you want your access controls private or public? You want to leave it on private. In the student email, all you're going to do here is put the extension, the @apps.southwindsorschools.org, and then you would create a topic. This means, because you're going to eventually post this to Google Classroom or share the code with the students. Google Classroom is the easiest way, but they won't be allowed in unless they have this extension or this email attached to their username. And then you can create. One of the things I actually want to say, so I created that. If I realize I didn't set something correct, I would go to edit topic, and then I can scroll down and add other credentials. So I can add a link to, like say, a rubric. So if you want to add if you have a rubric in Google Classroom or somewhere on the web, you can add a link and add other attachments. Sometimes I've done that with the full directions to an assignment. Status is active. That means that they're ready to start recording. You can set a scheduled date. So if you don't want them to be able to record after a certain time, you would just set that time up. Notifications. This is helpful if you want to be notified when somebody posts a video or replies to a comment, so you don't have to keep going back in. And then allow students to download and share after creating their video. If you don't want them to be able to do that, you would just toggle that off. And then here are some of the other video features. You can either, so there's a lot of features that I can show you in a moment where they have like filters, stickers, things that make it fun for the students. Sometimes it can be a bit distracting. With high schoolers, you'll probably be okay, but you can also turn those off. Video editing allows them to fix anything that they put in there so that if they make a mistake, they can clip the mistake out. Video comments. So they can reply via video, or they can do text, or they can do comments only, or no comments, or none, which means that it's purely view only. And then view count just tells you how many times. That's a nice visual. You can see how many views that one particular video has had. Likes is automatically disabled. If you want to toggle that on, you can. And then sticky notes acts as a teleprompter. So, and I can show you what that looks like. Students can type in what they want to say, and it will be on their screen, but not on the screen that you see. And so they can use that really like a teleprompter. Feedback, basic, custom. This just allows you to give, type different feedback to them after you've watched it, and then you can go through here. If you wanted to add your own rubric, you can do that as well. and then update topic. So this is what the screen looks like with no video. So if you're ready to share that, what you would do is you would go to share and you would post it to Classroom. So I have a pretend classroom here I'm going to post it to. So now if I go to my classroom, I'm going to see that posted. I'm going to go in now, so it's going to look like I'm a student. And this is exactly what the students would do. They would just click on that link. They would join with Google. And here's what they would say. So now they're going to record a response. And this is, there's a few options. They can upload a video clip. They can record their screen. They have different effects. This is where it can get a little distracting for students. They have different filters. So they wanted to do different colors. If they're not comfortable with being on screen, they can pixelate it. They can have no filter. They can add frames. All right. So these are just, I mean, these don't really add much to content, but they are just fun for the students. But there is an ability to draw and an ability for a whiteboard so that they can demonstrate on the screen, almost like a Jamboard. And then the other piece is there was a text piece that they can add text to the screen as well. All right. So all of those allow for the student to really personalize their video. And then up here is the sticky note. This is where they can type exactly what they want to say. And this will, again, only appear on their screen and not on the screen for the person watching the video. The other thing they can do is show the topic. So if they can't remember the directions, they can just show that so they can use that as well as a prompt. All right. And then they would just record. So here I'm recording, and then when I'm all done, I would just hit next. It allows me to, all right. When I'm done with that, I would just make sure my name is there. I can take a selfie. I don't like these. There you go. Not a great one. And then it posts to Classroom, or not to Classroom, I'm sorry. It posts to Flipgrid. So when another student comes in, they can watch this video. And then down below, they can comment. And they can comment with text, or they can comment with a video. So here's where they would give feedback, and then they would, same thing. That's fine. And then they would send it. So when you go in, I want to just go back in for a different view so you can see it. You would see here the original poster, and then you would see they have one comment. And you could watch the comment and you could see the video, the original video. And you can have more than one person comment on a video. You can't comment on a comment. They used to allow that, and that's one of the things that they changed. But more than one person can comment. So you could say, like, you have to watch five of your classmates in a presentation and then comment on 2 of them, and they can do it that way. Questions? I know there's other features that I know, like last year, there was a teacher who wanted to just have a video, but no one could comment to the video. And that is making the video hidden. So let me just go in, make sure I'm in as a teacher here. So when I go back to my home screen here, it says active. I could do frozen or hidden. So that frozen means that no one can respond to it. Hidden means that you can't see it anymore. If you want to add it to a group or you have multiple classes, you would go to groups. You can create a group. So here I have period 1, period 2. I can go here to add to a group, and I could say period 1, add, and then period 2, add. And what it will do is it will create for each of those classes their own topic. You can duplicate a topic, so you don't need to keep repeating directions, and select the group that it's going to go to. And then when you're in a class that has multiple topics, so I'm going to go to a group here. So I went to period 1, and you can see all of the topics and the responses that they have. So for multiple videos, you don't need to keep recreating everything. You just add it to that particular group, and then you can go right in. And that code will appear in Classroom each time once you share it. And I apologize, I left all of my notes at school not knowing I was going to be in quarantine. So I just want to make sure I have everything else that was in there for you. Just to create a group. You just click create a group. You would name them. You will have a join code, but they're just going to use their student email and then next. And because you set up the topic with the apps, you don't need to share any of this with them. It will automatically authenticate once you post it in Classroom. All right. Any questions or anything that wasn't clear or that you want me to cover again, or questions about how you might use it in a class? Good. You can throw it in the chat too. I know like last year, I don't know if Anne is still here. I saw Anne earlier. Last year, she wanted to use it with her younger kids who didn't have an account because they are the preschool students. So there are other ways to authenticate. You can have guests come to your Flipgrid by sharing the code with them. So if you wanted someone outside of the district, could you use this to set up tutorials for students? Absolutely. Because you can record, and I went in as a student and recorded multiple videos, even though I'm the instructor. So you could definitely do that. And I worked with a math class last year that did that. And then the students replied back with questions. So that was helpful. I know in another math class, students taught someone else in the class like a lesson, and they used this at the collaborative piece. So I went in as a student by going into Classroom. Once I posted it to Classroom, I just went into Google Classroom and I clicked on instructions because it doesn't necessarily recognize me anymore once I do it that way as a teacher, as a student. It just sees that I have the add apps. So that allowed me to go in as a student and to create a video other than in that media piece, which is where only the instructor can do, but where it said record a video and respond. Because it even let me respond to myself, which seems kind of silly, but it did. But it's a good way to show students that too.
Tess, can you see like a roster of kids in each one of your groups, or is it just kind of open?
Yes. Nope. So let me go into one that we did last year. Let me cancel out of here. And I'm going to present my screen again. Hold on. I stopped presenting. Okay. So if I go back to topics, last year I used this in a 9th grade research. So let's see here. So here you can see the students who posted, and because I'm not in this classroom anymore. So let me actually go in under a different classroom, or under groups rather. I apologize. I just want to. So here you would be able to, once you click on it, you would be able to click on students, and then you could see who's in there. So again, I got there by going in, clicking on groups. I click on the period, and then under the topics, which you may have just one, I have multiple because I put more in there. And at students, you'll see everyone who was in there, the last video they created, the last time they accessed it, and how many videos they have. And then you can also, if someone were not being appropriate, block a student as well.
Tess, that was my question. In using this, do you find many students being inappropriate with their responses? Because that is the only thing that I worry about.
So what I done when I used it was we set up a class, like, I guess you will, guidelines about what is acceptable and what is not before we did it. So we talked about the kinds of things we'd want to see and the kind of things we wouldn't want to see. And we actually, I posted that. I added it as an attachment, and I reminded them. So we spent some time doing that, which was actually really good too for like community building and really like that social emotional piece. So I think I'm going to actually just look really quickly in one of the classes that I did last year. See, we set up those expectations ahead of time. And we basically said, if you're going to post, you need to honor that. And the teacher I was working with, we modeled that as well. Okay, so here I'm going to just present my screen again. And these were all from the students. None of them came from, it was Emily Clifford and I co-taught this class. So we set up class norms, and I just added them to the classroom by adding that attachment. And what we did too is we did, I put this up in like I think it was Pear Deck. And we just all added collaborative, but you could do it the same with a Google slide. So these were all the things the students said about what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. And we just put them up, and those were their words. Anything that was redundant, we left out, but they did a really nice job with that. The other thing we did in another class was we started off with something small, like just introductions, so that they could kind of get the silliness out of the way. But we talked about what was appropriate and what was not appropriate. But the kids definitely had a lot of fun doing the introductions piece, and were a little more wild and crazy. But when it came down to the actual assignment, they really did take it seriously. So I think giving them that opportunity first worked for us.
Thank you. Good to know, because as of right now, they're just doing performance task recordings. There's none of that back and forth. And that's my fault. I put the brakes on that. I'm using breakout rooms instead,
Yep.
and just the speaker in the classroom, because I've been leery about that piece. But now I know how to execute it well. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And that's the other piece is the moderator. If you turn that on, you can actually view it before you allow it to post. So if you see someone's being inappropriate, you don't have to post that response. And then the nice piece is, if you wanted to, you could share that same Flipgrid with more than one section. So if you wanted someone in your period, if you wanted your kids in period 2 to talk with your kids in period 3, you can do that as well by just sharing that same code with Google Classroom, so they would be able to see each other. So it's a way to cross beyond just that one class period. All right. Any other questions? I know it's 9:55, so I don't want to steal any more time. If you want to try this and you're still struggling, just send me an email. Even though I'm home for the next 2 weeks, we can video chat and I can help you. Anything. I'll be home with 2 small children, so please feel free to reach out. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Yes.
Thanks, Tess. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.